Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this important day, the International Men's Day, where we're celebrating the role of male leadership in transforming society in Uganda. I'm actually speaking to you from Windy Impenetrable National Park, home to almost half of the world's endangered mountain gorillas. I am Dr. Gladys Kalema-Zikusoka, founder and chief executive officer of Conservation Through Public Health, a grassroots NGO and nonprofit that promotes biodiversity conservation by enabling people to coexist with gorillas and other wildlife through improving their health and community livelihoods. My journey began 30 years ago, setting up a wildlife club in high school. Then I got to meet my husband, Zikusoka, along the way, and he's been such a wonderful companion on this journey, my leadership journey as a wildlife veterinarian and a conservationist, and more recently, an author. Zikusoka has helped in so many ways. When we first met, we actually met at a wedding, and then 2 years where we're both, he was a groomsman and I was a bridesmaid. And then we met again 2 years later. And even before we got married, I told him what I wanted to do. I said, I'm here in North Carolina. I set up the veterinary unit at Uganda Wildlife Authority, but I want to start an NGO after here. And I want to open up a bank account. Would you like to be one of the first donors? And he said, definitely. So he was a master's student in upstate New York, State University of New York, and SUNY Utica. And I was doing a zoo medicine residency in North Carolina State University and the zoo. And so we both put in $100 and opened up a bank account in America. And that began the journey of not only sharing a personal journey together, but a professional journey together. So he's helped in so many ways, believing in me when it was just an idea. We set up Conservation Through Public Health in 2003. We got married in 2001, and 2 years later, the NGO was created. We've done so many things together, including, we've had children now. We have 2 sons. They have been part of the NGO from day one. But there's been a lot of things that we've done within the NGO. My husband's role in family leadership has positively impacted my role as a mother. He believed in me from the very beginning, and this enabled me to follow my dreams and at the same time become a parent. And we started the journey of parenting together. We started the NGO together, and then a year later we had our first child. And in this book, Walking with Gorillas, I write a lot about this journey, my conservation and leadership journey. And he's had a very big role in enabling me to do whatever I want to do. When I said to him we want to set up an NGO to improve the health of the people and the gorillas together, when people made the gorillas sick, he believed in me. And I think one thing he liked about me is that he said, as a woman, I didn't mind getting dirty, and he liked that about me. I wasn't just about dressing nicely like most women are, but the fact that I like to get my hands dirty, he really liked that. He's also a nature lover. So there are lots of things we had in common. But one thing he's always done is always supported me in many ways. And when I said to him I want to write a book, he's been such a great source of support in the book, and he's one of the people I've dedicated in this book, including my family and our 2 sons. One thing that Lawrence said to me, Zikusoka, my husband, he said to me that, you know what, I think we need to start a global coffee brand because people really like coffee. And so when you read this book, you read up chapter 25, which is his favorite chapter, talking about saving gorillas one sip at a time. And this is the global coffee brand we began. We named it after my favorite gorilla, Kanyonyi, who I knew since he was a baby, and operated on his older sister when she had a rectal prolapse. She recovered and went on to have other babies in the forest. And so when you live here in Bwindi, just behind me is Bwindi Impenetrable Forest. It's a very hard edge between the community and the park. And as you're hiking up the mountain, you often cross coffee farms. And when we found out that these farmers were not getting a fair market or a steady price, we felt, why don't we create a global coffee brand to give them a good price for good coffee so that they don't have to enter the forest to poach and collect firewood. So it's been instrumental. He gave us this idea, and the Global Coffee brand has also won an awards, and so has the NGO. In fact, the very first award the NGO won came from him when he set up a telecenter in Bindi Impenetrable National Park. And this ended up winning an award and a number of awards, including being a finalist for the Stockholm Challenge Award and the World Summit Award for digital inclusion. So we've done a lot of things together. And one thing I can say, because of that, our marriage is not only about having children, which is very, very important, but we've also had something else that keeps us together. A lot of challenges and hardships along the way, but a lot of joys and opportunities. And I believe that with family leadership, it's very important to share your life together with your spouse and move together. It's not about competing with each other, but it's sharing a life together and supporting your spouse to realize their potential in life. I would say that my husband's leadership style could sometimes be autocratic when he wants things done there and then, but he's very self-driven, and he's a perfectionist, and we've instilled this in our sons to always strive to do their best in whatever they do and to always challenge themselves to be better. And I think this has really helped. I would say that he's also when it comes to being my husband, he's really supported me. In our home, we all make decisions. He's not the only one who makes decisions. And he always teaches the boys to look after me, protect me. And because he shows me so much respect, the boys I know later on in life are going to also respect their wives when they get married. I would say that he's also helped to keep my dream going and built upon it. Without him, we would not have got this far in this unique dream that is basically helping both wildlife and people. And I would say that one way that he really showed a lot of support was when our son Indigo had a soccer injury. Actually, it really wasn't an injury, but he had Oxlade-Schlatter syndrome, where his knees were hurting because he was growing too fast. He was really looking forward to being at a soccer camp, and he couldn't go because his knees were hurting. So we suggested to him to volunteer at the zoo. And that time I had to go to Oxford to do a biodiversity fellowship for 6 weeks at Oxford University. So Lawrence took him to the zoo every day for a week, and afterwards encouraged him to write an article for Toto magazine. He followed up on it. And later on, his former teacher felt, I see a book in here, and encouraged him to write a book and mentored him. And Indigo wrote this award-winning book, Zookeeper for a Week, which won an award in America. If my husband wasn't so supportive, it would have stopped at me encouraging Indigo to volunteer, but it's because of his dad that this book was created. And so in so many ways he supports us. He loves soccer, and as much as he really wanted his children to play soccer, thankfully they've also got that love for soccer like him. And currently right now Indigo is playing soccer in America, college soccer at New England College in New Hampshire. Lawrence has never missed a single match. He's the greatest fan of Indigo. He knows when all the matches are playing. Sometimes we watch them in the middle of the night in Uganda. He'll go back, find the clip, get our communications manager to make it, turn into a social media post. He's so proud of Indigo. We're so proud of him. And this has also helped his younger brother to be confident, because Tendo also wants to be successful like his brother, his father, and his mother. So this has really, really helped. He's very loving to the boys, although he's very strict. And I think it's a combination. You have to have both in order because the world doesn't allow you to just be one way or another. Sometimes it's a tough world and you have to navigate it. And I think we're equipping our children to navigate this tough world through our parenting and our leadership style. Just like my mother really believed in me. She wrote this book, My Life is Butter Weaving. She really believed in me and encouraged me to follow my dream. I think Lawrence and I together, we've encouraged our sons to follow their dreams. My husband's support has enabled me to make a huge difference in conservation and changing the world and our society of Uganda, because he found me along the way when I was crazy about animals and I really wanted to make a difference for wildlife conservation and bring back Uganda's wildlife to its former glory. Uganda used to be called the Pearl of Africa, and when I became Uganda's first wildlife vet, I really wanted to bring back the wildlife. And when he came into my life, I told him, I also want to support people. So his support has enabled us to do this. He came up with the idea of setting up a telecenter. He said, let's support them through a telecenter. So our 3 programs are started off by being conservation, public health, and ICT, information, communication, and technology. It was the first telecenters in a national park in Uganda and won several awards. And then later on, we went on to build the NGO, which is 21 years old and has won several awards. I have won several awards, and so has he. And this wouldn't have been possible if we didn't really work together as a team. I would also like to say that the Gorilla Conservation Coffee also won an award. And we are transforming the lives of farmers around the park. We're lifting them out of poverty, reducing their need to enter the forest to poach. And through the telecenter, suddenly people in Bwindi were able to access the outside world, and it's transformed them. They can continue with emails to tourists long after the visit has ended. When we were concerned about anthrax in Queen Elizabeth National Park, Lawrence said, why don't we set up a disease communication platform? And we joined the Ministry of Health National Task Force, together with the Ministry of Agriculture and Uganda Wildlife Authority. And this was their first communication platform, which they used until they were able to build their own. So even when we would have meetings, I'd say, we want Mr. Zikusoka to be part of the meeting because we need him to help us out with ICT. So his support has enabled me to do a lot more. They always say behind every successful man is a dedicated woman. And I would say that my success, also behind every successful woman, there can be a really committed husband. And I think Lawrence has been able to achieve this. Another favorite chapter of his in working with gorillas is chapter 13, which talks about how we met, getting married, and conducting One Health research. And he keeps teasing me saying, you carried on the aeroplane a dart gun and a wedding dress. And he loves it. So we're really happy that we're able to do a lot together. Our younger son, Tendo, actually wrote an article about COVID-19 and gorillas during the pandemic because he spent so much time with me here. He also wants to play college soccer. He's very good at basketball as well. And he also wants to change the world. And one thing I can say is, together as a partnership in our marriage, we've encouraged our children to have certain qualities that have enabled us to make a difference in this world. This includes empathy. Our sons really have a lot of empathy. They always want to help children who are less fortunate than they are. They have so many friends at Bwindi. It's a rural area with some of the most poorest people in the world. They have so many friends here. And wherever they go, they're always trying to help people. And that's how they're really going to change the world. Something else that I've really learned, we've helped our children to go for what they want, to be brave, to be strong, to believe in what they want, fight for what they want to accomplish, and to not give up, and to be considerate for others. So I think these are all the values we've learned. I'm an Ashoka Fellow. So is Debbie Kaduserada, and because of her, I became a fellow. She came and visited us here in Bwindi, and she was like, wow. And so a few months later, I became a fellow. Ashoka supports leading social entrepreneurs with systems changing ideas. And so Debbie enabled me to become a fellow because of merging Uganda's wildlife management and rural public health programs to create common benefits and resources for people and animals. Ashoka has now started Ashokitos so that our children can also continue to be change makers. And I feel that this has really helped me a lot. And it's just great that Lawrence has been with me on this journey. I would like to end up by talking about thanking all the people who have supported us. Mother Care School is a school that is also dear to my heart. It was started by Mrs. Seru Kenya, the Seru Kenya family. And Paul Serukenya is someone I went to school with in King's College, Buddo. And he's also doing great work, as an engineer and also hoping to build other schools. And so we have close family ties with Mother Care Preparatory. We both got a scholarship from Kulika Charitable Trust. And it's great that we're able to continue the dreams that our parents set aside, that we're building upon the legacy of our grandparents and our parents. And would like our children to also continue to build upon our legacy.